It's a lovely good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's another Tuesday, and we are glad to be back on the program. Sincere apologies for starting the program way too late. This is due to circumstances of internet here and there, but truly working on it to see to it that we do not have these glitches every time that we try to come live and get to have a conversation with you, our dear viewers. I am your host, Lance Sunny Banda, taking you through this evening, together with my co-host Chaza, who is joining in shortly to help discuss the topic of discussion, which is, do we have freedom of expression in Zambia? Chaza, good evening. Welcome to the program.
Good evening, and I'm so excited to be here, on a Tuesday, just like any other Tuesday. But this one happens to be the last Tuesday in the year 2022.
I didn't even notice. Okay. I thought we have the last Tuesday, just like we're having last Monday on a Monday in 2020. All right. So, our dear viewers, thank you so much for being part of the program. And to introduce our guest for this evening, we have Comrade Daniel Zulu. He is part of our panelists this evening to help us dissect the topic of discussion. Comrade Zulu, good evening. Welcome to Ubuntu. Welcome to the program. Kindly unmute yourself.
Good evening, comrade.
All right. Good evening. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Not bad. Compliments of the season.
Thank you so much. Compliments of the season to you too. Good evening, Chaza.
Good evening. How are you doing, Daniel?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
Doing pretty fine. It's good to have you, right here on debate time once again.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure.
All right, and also in the studios, we are joined by Comrade Musonda right there, Gideon, who is a programs coordinator or programs manager for Gears Initiative. Comrade Musonda, good evening. Welcome to the program.
Well, good evening, Lance, and good evening, Chaza. I'm very grateful to be hosted. In fact, this is my maiden appearance on this program. Thank you very much for having me.
Definitely, we really appreciate. Our dear viewers, like you have seen, our topic of discussion is, do we have freedom of speech in Zambia? Of course, let's get to discuss this in at least 50 to 55 minutes. Of course, kickstarting that, let me get to leave it to Chaza.
Okay.
Yeah, Chaza, if you can take it up.
Thank you so much, Lance. The first question, or rather information that I would like to get from our panelists is a further introduction about each one of them. Who is Daniel Zulu exactly, and who is Gideon Musonda exactly? We want to know you, deeper than what you have been introduced. Let's get to start with you, Daniel. Who is Daniel Zulu?
Thank you very much. Daniel is, I'll do it as simple as I can. Uh, Daniel is a Zambian youth, a passionate youth with a passion to see youths engrafted in leadership and governance roles. Um, Fortunately to say, I'm a trained agriculture engineer, but it's been long since I practiced that field. Zambia has a way of turning doctors into cashiers. So yeah, basically that's all about me. I'll leave other accolades aside for the sake of security. But that's all the reason to Daniel, and I'm glad to be on this program tonight.
All right, thank you so much. Let's get to Mr. Gideon Musonda. Who are you exactly? Just give us, further information about yourself.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so my brief information is that Gideon Musonda, Musonda, is an advocate. He is a governance activist. I've been in this field for 14 years. So I've worked at various institutions, but in terms of the electoral and governance issues, I've been in this field for 18 years. So I'm competent enough to discuss governance issues, but also electoral related issues. So I think that's my brief background in terms of who I am for purposes of this program. Unless you need some other information, you can guide.
I think for now that suffices. We have at least a brief understanding of who Daniel Zulu is, and also Gideon Musonda. And let me just throw it back to my colleague there, Lance, to take it up and get to give us the next item.
All right, thank you so much, Chaza. So from each of our discussants, as you know, the topic that we are discussing, in your personal view or in your personal understanding, let's first get to break down this topic of do we have freedom of speech in Zambia? Like, Comrade Musonda, to you, what does freedom of speech mean to you? Or when we say freedom of speech, what is it to you?
Well, firstly, and basically, just to, that freedom to express myself without any interference. Freedom to hold my opinion. The freedom to receive ideas and information. The freedom to impart or to communicate ideas and information. So for me, if I am able to exercise this freedom, then, by the way, without any interference, without anything to hinder, these, the exercise of this freedom, then I'm having, this right, to exercise my freedom of, speech or freedom of expression. It's extremely important to me and, of course, to citizens out there, because these are inalienable, which means no one should give me, no one should take away, from me. So it's something that I'm born with, and I should exercise it without any hindrances, without any interferences. To me, that's the basic, meaning of, the freedoms of expression or freedom of, speech.
Pretty interesting. Thank you so much for that. Comrade Daniel, same question to you. What does freedom of speech mean to you?
Okay, thank you very much, Comrade. In preparation for today's discussion, I was looking at freedom of expression as it being different from freedom of speech. Because when you look at freedom of speech, it can be used interchangeably, but it is limited to you voicing out your on a particular matter. Expression, on other terms, goes beyond you voicing out your opinion. Expression goes beyond the idea of you just voicing out what you think about a particular issue. Expression talks about, as Comrade Musonda has put it, it talks about you receiving information, your ability, your freedom to receive information, your freedom to also send forth that information or impart that information to others using whatsoever media is at your disposal. So there's a part of, in terms of expression, breaking down expression, there's a part of you seeking out the information. You have the freedom to reach out to any particular office within the country, any particular office that is public owned, and get certain information. You have the freedom to seek out that information. You have the freedom to receive that information when you seek it out. And you have the freedom to impart that information, or in other terms, to get information and spread it out to other people using whatsoever media that is at your disposal. So that is my little understanding on the freedom of expression and the freedom of speech. So they can be used interchangeably, carelessly, I may add, because they seem to all point at the same thing. But expression is a bit wider than speech is. So yeah, I submit with that.
All right, thank you so much. And having described, freedom of speech, freedom of expression in that manner, I'd like now to find out from each one of you, do we have the freedom of speech? Do we have this freedom of expression in Zambia? Let's start with you, Mr. Musonda.
Indeed, we do have, that freedom of expression. Like I say, these are freedoms or the rights that we are born with. It should not be taken away from us. So my answer is that we have this freedom. But let me go further, just to give it an example of how, as a country, we have, placed, a high premium on this, right. When you consider what is enshrined in the Bill of Rights on Article 20, it obligates every citizen, to enjoy, freedom of expression. So this has been fenced. It's not something that can easily be tampered with. And if you are to change, you'll have to go to a referendum where the majority should express themselves if there is anything that can be changed on this provision. So it gives that it shows that we really express, we really show the importance of this freedom by the citizens. Now we have it, but it is with interference. We have it. It is with challenges. So what's important for now is that as citizens, we must realize that this is something that we are born with. This is something that we should have. We should really, exercise and not allow any interference from anyone. Now, I'm talking about the challenges that we have in our exercising of this freedom. For example, Lance and Chaza and Comrade, Zulu, we have some laws that are a clawback to this freedom, that hinge on our freedom. There is the Cyber Security and Crime Act that contains, some provisions where, for example, your freedom is under surveillance. The freedom of expression is under surveillance. So this takes away, from the freedom that we are supposed, to exercise as citizens. So yes, we have, this right to, freedom of expression, this right to freedom of speech, but it is with challenges as I've highlighted. Over to you.
All right, thank you so much. We do appreciate there, Mr. Musonda. What about you, Mr. Zulu? Do we have this freedom of speech, freedom of expression? Are we enjoying these freedoms in Zambia?
Okay, I'll put it on a yes and no basis. Yes, we do have them because they are enshrined in our constitution. As Comrade Musonda has put it, Article 20 of our constitution provides that each and every citizen enjoys these freedoms. So it's a yes, they are enshrined in our constitution. And a little bit of a no, let me say a no, because with that enshrinement comes a huge blockage from the state. As the comrade has rightly put it, you have a law that seems to be against a freedom that you are given. So you have freedom of expression, which tells you to say you are free to express yourself on each and every on any matter. You are free to say what you feel. You are free to agree or disagree with the state. But there is also another provision that tells you to say, okay, even if you are enjoying this freedom, there is this limitation to your freedom. You're not supposed to enjoy it beyond this. Okay. Amnesty International says you are free to protest and disagree with the state. Freely protest and disagree with the state on any matter which you feel isn't being done right. You'll find that to tie that down, you'll be told to say no. Before you can go and protest, you need to get a permit from the police, which is okay. No, before you do this, there's the right to assembly. You're not supposed to be a group of this number before it can be given before you can be given a permit to protest. So there are all these other laws that seem to be sitting on your right to express yourself. So if we only limit it to speech, as I've said, if we only limit it to speech, we're only looking at us expressing ourselves in terms of voicing out. But if we broaden it to expression, where you're able to get what you want, the information that you want, and you're able to say, okay, but I do not agree with this. In today's society, our freedom of expression is limited to which side of the opinion we support. Do we support the state's opinion? Do we support another opinion or a different opinion? That would decide in other people's minds, that would decide the level at which we enjoy our liberties and freedoms of expression. So, do we enjoy these freedoms? My answer is it depends with which side you are supporting or which side of a view you are for or against. For instance, if you are for the state, your freedoms will be enjoyed. That you can be guaranteed. If you are against the state, be rest assured that there will be some stepping on those rights and freedoms that you have of expression. So it depends with which side you're standing on. Standing on this side, you say, yes, we have freedom of expression. Standing on the other side, you feel different.
Mr. Zulu, it is said that, man is a dangerous animal that must be regulated. So don't you think if you are given absolute, freedom to express yourself and also to speak, then, you know, others would turn out to be insulcious in their speech, you know, and also disrespect and so on and so forth. Take, for instance, on, you know, social media, cyberbullying and the like, you know, which is ongoing, you know, because of insufficient, you know, regulation as our state, you know, is in terms of, you know, internet or ICT related crimes. What do you think about that?
Okay, first I'll agree with your expression. Man is a dangerous being when left untamed. Man without laws, uh, man without laws, a human being without laws is as dangerous or more dangerous than a wild animal. So what makes us humane is the idea of laws and rules and regulations that are put to tame us down. Yet again, when I'm saying, if we talk about freedom of expression and freedom of speech, what is going on social media? It's a media platform that has been used for people to interact from different backgrounds. You interact, you get to share ideas and all sorts of things. Of course, there's a lot of bullying that goes on social media, which needs to be regulated. But to what level are you regulating that? To what level are you going to regulate somebody's right to express themselves? Because for me, for example, if I'm not okay with a certain thing, it is provided in the Constitution that I say that I'm not okay with this. If I don't agree with it, it is provided in the Constitution. It is my freedom for me to state that I don't like this. So the person who's regulating, to what extreme are they regulating our freedom of expression? As I've said, it depends on where you are standing. Okay? Depends on where you are standing. I remember there's one minister that said, anyone that talks about FISIP as a mess, anyone that says there's a problem with FISIP, the police should arrest them. Okay? They should be arrested. Now, the question is, based on what? Because that is what is happening on the ground. It's a mess. So if I express myself to say that is a mess, why should I then be arrested when my freedom entails that I'm supposed to state when I disagree with something? Okay, so depending on which side you're standing, yes, we need regulation. We don't need infringement of our freedom. We need to be regulated in terms of what we say, what we post, and all those things. The Facebook has a provision where you can report a certain post. If someone says something, hate speech, nudity, and all those things, bullying, you can report that, and the writers, the algorithm writers of Facebook will be able to put down that post or block the postee. But as a country, as a nation, to what level are we regulating our freedom of expression? Okay, to what extreme are we regulating? Who is it favoring? Because if I'm being governed, I have to tell you to say, okay, what you're doing is right for me as a person that is being governed or not. And I can only do that when I'm expressing myself. If you tell me that you regulate that, to what level are you going to regulate it? To what extreme are you going to regulate it? Okay.
Whoa. Thank you so much, Daniel. I just want to come back to Comrade Musonda. Comrade Musonda, you're saying that we have freedom of speech and also freedom of expression in Zambia, despite having the Cyber Law and Crimes Act, which was enacted. Now, there's a different view from people that have got different political ideologies. For them, they're saying there is no freedom of expression in Zambia because each time they try to voice out, they are either curtailed or they are arrested. How then do we have freedom of expression? Or what are the boundaries of this freedom of expression?
Well, thank you very much, Comrade Lance. Indeed, there are those concerns, and in giving my answer to your earlier question, I acknowledge that we do have, these freedoms. However, they are with challenges, and such challenges are the ones that you have highlighted in terms of, especially gagging, the freedoms, especially the opposition, to express themselves. Yeah. So the situation was worse in the previous regime, but at the moment we are seeing, the relaxation of the state interfering so much into the political party leaders, especially, the opposition. Yes, you may argue, and we've also been, following, these issues in terms of arrest on based on, some archaic laws such as the, defamation of the president, such as, other laws that impinge, on the freedom of expression. Yeah, so, yes, we have seen these. And we are also seeing some reactions, from the state in terms of amending these laws that impinge on the freedom of expression. We've seen the recent development from, the president assenting, to the repealing of, the provision in the penal code, the defamation of the president. That will, at least, we consider it as a right step in the right direction in terms of, allowing, the opposition to express, themselves. Not only the opposition, but also other citizens who may have divergent views from those of, in the authority. Yeah, so what must be noted and realized, comrades, is that in our exercise of these freedoms, or in our exercise of these rights, we also have duties and responsibilities as citizens. You cannot exercise them to harm others. Where my right ends, someone's right starts. So that must be recognized. It's very important that we recognize that and ensure that as we exercise these freedoms, we don't injure, others. We should realize that others also have, that freedom to express themselves. Yes, you've seen us as Gears Initiative in Zambia, but also, governance activists elsewhere, even the citizens, condemning the arrest of, critical voices, being from the opposition or, from, other citizens who hold, divergent views, especially from those, in authority. So, comrades, yes, indeed, there are challenges. And these challenges, I think for now, we are seeing, some right direction. We are seeing some will, from the high offices, such as that of the president, to let it be in terms of, people criticizing or expressing themselves strongly, while they are exercising this right to freedom of expression.
All right, thank you so much. I don't know, Comrade Zulu. I saw you, nodding, smiling, and do you hold an opposite view as this of Comrade Musonda?
No. It's certain areas yes, certain areas no. He's right on his point to state that we need to have limits in terms of our expression of self, so that we do not injure others. That is right. On the defamation of the president, on the lifting of that, probably maybe I might need some little bit of education. All the cases that we saw of people being arrested were not state against those individuals. You find that there were other people outside state that issued call outs for those people. I remember someone was taken to Likuru over the defamation case. It's not the state that was suing, but it's rather individuals that feel the president was offended or the president's name was offended. So in a case where you find the way the call outs were laid out, I'm yet to, maybe the Savoy Imboila thing, maybe that was the state, but looking at the Chilufya Tayalis, the Sean Tembos, you find that their cases were reported and summons issued by individuals and not the state. So the repulsion of that particular law, does it mean if I feel the president's name has been ridiculed, I'm not supposed to report the person? Am I supposed to just let it free flow, or maybe it still works the same way it has been working? I would love Comrade Musonda to assist me with that before I celebrate the repulsion of that law.
Comrade Musonda.
Yeah. Okay. So if I've gotten you clearly, Comrade, you are asking. Yes, so you cited an example of the issue of arrest, where as a result of, citizens complaining about defamation of the president, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So what was cited in those arrests was the provision of defamation of the president. So even if it was not, the state that started or originated, those summons for purposes of, implicating those who defamed the president, the provision was the same. So the action obviously is taken by the state, if you like, by Zambia police in terms of the arrest. So the main problem was that even if it was not the state, starting the process of that arrest, what was cited was the provision in the Penal Code, Article 69, defamation of the president. Yeah, it should be that one. So it was on the basis of the comrades from the opposition or whoever, citizens, defaming, the president using the provision, of the Penal Code. So with the removal of the Penal Code or repeating of that, provision, defamation of the president, so people will not cite that provision, even if they, they defame, the president. So that's why I'm saying it's a positive development. Yeah, it will not happen either, initiated by the state or by the citizens, because the provision that was usually cited is now repealed. I don't know if I'm speaking, in line with your question.
You have partially, but we can build on that. Over to you, Comrade Lance.
All right, thank you so much. Our dear viewers, remember that you are watching Debate Time on Ubuntu channel. Now, this is a program that comes your way every Tuesday from 2030, and then we get to discuss or debate different issues. Today, what we are discussing or debating on is, do we have freedom of expression? And so far, so good from our panelists. We have Gideon Musonda from Gears Initiative, as well as Daniel Zulu, well, from GLZ. He obviously didn't mention that. But however, our dear viewers, if you have a question, you have a concern, kindly type through into the comments box. We'll be glad to hear from you, or we'll be glad to attend to your question that you might have. Now, panel, continuing or looking at the challenges or looking at what we have spoken about so far, we appreciate the fact that at least we have a yes and a no of do we have freedom of expression in Zambia. Also, we have seen problems that have been highlighted that are kind of impeding on fully enjoying the freedom of expression. Let's get to look at, what does it require for a nation to attain or to get to enjoy full freedom of expression? What should be done? What does Zambia need to do so that we can reach that level of attaining full freedom of expression and speech? Comrade Musonda.
Well, thank you very much, comrade. I think what should be done is firstly strengthen the laws. For me, the provision under Article 20 is sufficient enough to guide us on how we can freely express ourselves, or how we can enjoy our freedom to expression and speech. So, what is supposed to be done now is that we are supposed to align all the subsidiary laws that speaks against to the spirit of the Constitution. We have subsidiary laws such as the Public Order Act. We have subsidiary laws such as Cyber Security and Crime Act that contains provisions that somehow negate from the provision that we have been given, or that we have given ourselves under Article 1. So what's important is, yes, let's have clear laws that enhances our exercise of those freedoms, and not the laws that somehow I can call acrobat to the enjoyment of these, freedoms. Now, after doing that, what's important is awareness raising, especially to the general citizens, to appreciate these rights they are born with. Very important. It's extremely important that they understand, they appreciate these rights. Because it's when they appreciate, it will be very easy for them to defend and protect these rights as called upon, by the Constitution. So I think when we do that, it will also be important for the state to realize that these freedoms are very important. These freedoms must be facilitated. So they have a duty to ensure that they create an environment where citizens can exercise these freedoms freely. They must enjoy these freedoms. So even when they are enacting laws, these laws should be there to facilitate the enjoyment of these freedoms and not to impede the enjoyment of these freedoms. So we all have a duty. We all have a duty. Creation of awareness, very important. Citizens will only be able to defend their rights upon realization of their importance, and that these should not be given, these should not be taken away from them. They have them. They have them. They need to be enjoyed, freely. I submit at this point.
All right. Thank you so much, Comrade Musonda, right there. Comrade Daniel, what do you think should be done for a country such as Zambia to attain or to fully enjoy the freedom of expression?
Okay, thank you very much, Comrade. In addition to what Comrade Musonda has already said, is do we have the political will as a nation to let our citizens freely criticize us, freely express themselves? The challenge we have as a nation is control of everything is left to politicians. We've left politicians to run every affair of the nation. We've given them ultimate power to lead and rule. So when you give someone power and they begin to enjoy that power, their idea is what do I do to ensure that I hold on to this for a long time? Hence, curbing on some of these laws that are supposed to be beneficial to the citizens and twisting them to the benefit of the politician. Do we have the political will to let the citizens criticize us? Okay, what we've seen or what is generally happening, I always want to try to make sure that these people that are trying to compare administrations are brought on the table. You can't compare the previous administration and today's administration in terms of upholding the Constitution. When we vote for leaders, we don't vote for them to compare with the other administration. We vote for them to uphold the Constitution in totality, not to be comparison to the other administration. Statements like, it was worse in the previous administration, it's better now. No, it doesn't have to be better than the previous administration. The question is the Constitution being upheld in totality? Okay, some challenges that have been expressed. What do we need to do as a nation? One, political will. There has to be a politicians should know that they are the servants of the people before they are the powerful almighties. They are the servants of the people. It is our voice that they need to echo wherever they go. So if we do not express ourselves as individuals, then they don't have anything to represent us in parliament, because they will need to take whatever we say as expression to parliament for laws to be made and for bills to pass. So you find that there is no political will to fully let the citizens enjoy the freedom of expression. Why? Because the government and the people are so scared to say, if people are given so much power to express themselves, then we lose out on power, we lose out on authority. The most dangerous creature on earth is a creature that has a voice. You find that these other animals can't communicate, but a human being is above them because of their ability to voice things out, their ability to say. So if you give someone a voice, then you give them power. And that is what a politician doesn't want. A politician doesn't want power to be given to another. A politician wants power to be given to themselves. Okay, I remember one statement that the president made. He said that when we are wrong, you are free to tell us. When we are wrong, you are free to tell us. As I earlier stated, all these cases of defamation of the president did not come from the state, did not originate from the state. It originated from people around, people that sympathize with the president. So you'll find that a certain group of people will enjoy those liberties, will enjoy that freedom. Why? Because there is no political will that says each and every citizen can enjoy these rights. What's there is, if you are part of this group of people, then you will enjoy the rights. So he says, if we are wrong, tell us. When you tell the president what he's doing wrong, believe you me, even on social media, a group will rise telling you how bad. A lot of people have criticized things that are going on. I'll give an example of Comrade Thomas Sipalo. He started this for almost a year, talking about the problem and the challenge of medicines in hospitals. He's been crying over this, he's been talking over this. Go to his page when he posts something, you'll find that there is a group, same individuals, a group of people that will rise, same individuals, to come to the defense of the state. Okay? They will come to the defense of the state. Of course, the state has said, if we are wrong, tell us. But you find there are individuals that feel they are more aligned to the state. They have more freedom of expression than others that will come now and start and impede the ability for someone to express themselves. So is there political will to tell that group of people to say, let this person express themselves? Of course, every government wants to be praised. Every government wants hands to be clapped. But is there political will? Do we have the political will as a government, as a nation, to say, let's allow our people express themselves, whether we love what they are saying or not? We can have a whole lot of education around that, a whole lot of sensitization around that to the citizens. But does our state, does our government have the political will to give the power back to the people in terms of their voices, to give the power back to their people in terms of expression? Already the capital punishment, I'm coming, I'll be ending shortly. Already we see a development together with the removal of the defamation of the president. We see capital punishment also being removed. The question I had was, and the question I've been asking everyone that has told me about this is, which people did they ask that the capital punishment should be removed, death sentencing should be removed? Because that is a law that borders around the people. Okay, it's a law that affects the people. You have a right to live that has to be honored. What happens in a case when that right to live has been violated by someone? You find that you're giving someone the right to live who has violated another person's right to live. So which people were there? Which people did our MPs listen to in order to say, let's scrap this law off? Is there willpower? Is there political will to say, let's give the people, let's hear what the people have to say. Let's pass this through a referendum. Let's see what the people will say about the removal, or whether we remove or it stays. So they will still tell you to say you have the freedom to express yourselves, but there is this limitation. Why? Because politicians don't want people to have power to express themselves.
All right. Thank you so much, Daniel. Thank you so much. I have a very burning question for you, Comrade Musonda. We've been talking about freedom of expression, freedom of speech. Why does it look like the violation of this freedom is only experienced with politicians and not with the general citizenry? Is it only the politicians that, have this right? Is this right special only for politicians, and a mere citizen like me, I don't have it? I can't, say freedom of what, freedom of what? Why does it only border on politicians?
Thank you very much, Chaza. This is very interesting indeed. Yeah. So, what should be realized is that these freedoms are for everyone, for every Zambian, not only Zambian, but all human beings, in this world. Yeah. So they have these freedoms because they are born, with them. Now, the issue of politicians, it's it's interesting. Of course, we know that the contestation to govern, this country raises the stakes. It raises a lot of debate, and of course, this goes with the type of democracy that we have chosen for ourselves, where leaders, present themselves, and then the citizens have an opportunity, to elect. So the competition about having the space to communicate to the electorate, the competition about the politicians exercising their freedom to express themselves so that they can canvass the vote, so that they can win, the support of the citizen, places this issue at at a level that cannot be somehow compared to the general citizen. Now, I'm not saying that there has to be, that high consideration, to the politicians and any citizen. This should be done to everyone, every citizen, because they have equal rights. So the issue is more about politicking. Politicking. You have those in authority wanting to limit the space, wanting to, shrink the space for the divergent views, for the politicians, fellow politicians, to participate, especially via, freedom of, expression. You are aware that soliciting of voice is about, comes from this exercise of freedom of expression. So the contestation is about those in authority limiting the space, of those who are in the opposition, because one is the selfishness of not wanting, others, to take over from them or losing an election. So that's why we do see that most of, the people who try powers about this freedom, is for the politician, more on the politicians than the general citizen, who usually, participate as electors, just as a way of voting. Now, in a democracy like ours, it's extremely important that this right we are talking about is enjoyed freely, is enjoyed to the fullest, especially those, who are trying to provide leadership to this nation. Because it's through imparting of those ideas we talked about, through, the sharing of information about their manifestos, about what they intend to do, to this country. That's where, the citizens will appreciate, their importance and possibly also getting to elect them. So it's about the contestation. When you give them, the feeling is that when the people in authority or the party in the government, if it opens up, you know, to the opposition to express themselves, to interact freely with the citizens, they may easily be, you know, taken over. But we believe that this exercise of freedom is important to all. So the competition should be about the ideas of how they should govern, and the people themselves stand with that right to vote. Yeah, I submit.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Musonda there. Before we get to close, I'd like to ask, you know, a question that requires only a yes or no answer. And the question is, where we have a government in place, is it attainable to have absolute freedom of expression or freedom of speech? Daniel.
Did you say, is it possible?
That's a no there.
No,
yes, indeed. Is it possible to have absolute freedom of expression or freedom of speech?
Provided by law, yes, it is possible. Is it the case? No.
Thank you. No. I don't need your explanation at this point. I switch to Mr. Musonda there. What is your answer? Mr. Musonda, are you there?
Comrade Musonda, are you here?
Mr. Musonda, are you there?
Well, it appears
should we be under the
internet
impression that we have lost him? So sad indeed, so sad indeed. Get back to you, you know, Daniel. In a nutshell, what are your closing remarks, you know, as regards freedom of expression, freedom of speech? Probably you have a chance even to actually, you know, explain further as you had wished. In closing.
Okay, thank you very much. You know, when you're leading people are not like animals. You don't lead people like herding cattle or maybe shepherding sheep. People think, people reason, people can see, people are able to analyze, people are able to have different views than yours as a leader. The best and effective way for you to be a leader is when you allow the different views of the people be part of your thought process. When you're always the person that is right, and you're always the person that is that knows everything, it becomes difficult for you to lead people. With you and I and most people have lived to praise the late President Levi Patrick Mwanawasa as being one of Zambia's greatest presidents. One thing we fail to admit about that is look at the caliber of voices that were criticizing the president. Look at the criticism that he was able to accept. We talk about people like Anderson Mazoka. You talk about people like Michael Chilufya-Sata. These are people that were critical in Mwanawasa's administration. What we are seeing are the positive fruits out of that administration. No fuel was okay. Milimi was okay. I remember reading somewhere one time where Sata gave the late president an ultimatum to reduce prices of milimi. You know, it's the voice that you allow to criticize you. If you are always right, if you are always surrounded by people that are praising you, if you are always surrounded by people that are saying, yes, you're right, yes, you're doing the correct thing, your chances of failure are more than your chances of success. So the right for us to express ourselves freely should not only be let loose ultimately when we are in support of the state. Actually, we should be given much room when we stand against the state, because we are the people that are being governed. We are the people that are being led. Okay, we are the people that are being ruled. So we are the people who know what affects us. If
All
you
right,
close our
Mr.
mouths
Zulu.
in terms of expression,
Mr. Zulu.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Mr. Zulu. I'll give you
I
1 minute to do your conclusion, please.
Is the minute starting now or it started? Okay, so in conclusion,
It had
as a
started
nation,
then, but looking at
okay,
that you are still having something to say. It's starting now.
okay. So as a nation, our strength and our success in terms of governance is on the pinnacle of the level at which we let people express themselves. We can't have a law of expressing ourselves and another law that drags us down and hinders us to express ourselves. So we employ each and everyone in position of power and authority to give this law its breathing space. Let people be able to express themselves, whether for your likes or dislikes. Allow people to express themselves. I submit. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So we do appreciate. I'm glad that Mr. Musonda is back here, and I'll throw that same question to him, and I just require a yes or no. Is it possible to have absolute, freedom of expression, freedom of speech, Mr. Musonda?
A tricky question to answer, yes and no. Honestly, comrade, because we realize that,
Mr. Musonda.
yes. Hello? Yeah.
Mm.
I earlier on mentioned that where my rights, end, someone's right, start.
Yes, please go ahead.
We always, and we will always, and this is an unfortunate thing that we should also read off, from our, democracy. A situation where people abuse other people's rights. Yeah. So to that extent, I can say, yes, it's possible. But obviously, we should realize that other people, have equal rights.
Thank you. Thanks to explain further. I do not want you to explain further. Maybe in your closing remarks, you may have a chance to explain further if you feel so. So now I'm giving you 1 minute. In your closing remarks, what is your last word or closing remarks to the viewers out there or listeners out there?
Well, my closing remarks is that firstly to thank all of them, for listening and viewing, this program. Yeah, very important and interesting program. Yeah. So, in my concluding remarks, I would like to state that it's extremely important to realize that freedom of expression is a cornerstone of our democracy. Democracy thrives where the people are free to express themselves. And so it's extremely important that we safeguard these rights that are enshrined in our constitution. Citizens out there have got a duty to promote and protect these rights. We also, I can also mention that even the state, they've got, an obligation to facilitate enjoyment of these, rights. So in so say, you know, having said that, I think it's extremely important. You know, Chaza and my comrade there, Zulu, as well as Lan, for us to continue providing these platforms where we can discuss, we can disseminate information so that people can appreciate these rights, you know, that they have. Yeah. So going forward, I think it will be important that time and again we bring these issues, we remind our leaders, we remind the citizens that we are born with these rights, and everyone has got equal, you know, rights that they should enjoy always.
Thank you so much, Mr. Musonda. We greatly appreciate. Mr. Zulu also, we do appreciate. Despite, you know, the internet challenges, this interview, you know, has come to fruition because of your persistence. We greatly appreciate. We don't take that for granted. Not forgetting the listener or the viewer out there. We actually appreciate so much. Lance, you've been good as always. This has been Debate Time on Ubuntu channel. My name is Chaza. Till then, we are saying Merry Christmas, or rather compliments of the season. We are out of here.
Thank you very much.